Hello and welcome to Showmakers. Today we have Joseph from the channel RealLifeLore. He's a good friend of both Brian and I, and we're happy to have him on. Welcome, Joseph.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be on.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So tell us first, how did you end up doing YouTube? That's kind of always our first question.
Sure. So I started my channel a little over a year ago. I created RealLifeLore back in February of 2016. And before I started that, I was actually doing another channel at the time. I won't reveal exactly what that channel was because it was a disaster. But it was
and now we have to know.
It was actually a collaborative channel that I was doing with a JT from Second Thought, because we've known each other since high school. So we kind of always wanted to do a YouTube channel, and we always wanted to create YouTube videos. So we ran this channel, and we kind of made tutorial videos on it, like how to jumpstart a car, or like how to tie a tie and stuff like that. But it kind of never really went anywhere. And so we decided to stop making videos on that channel. Meanwhile, it's February. It's my last semester of college. I was about to graduate at that time. I hadn't found any internships, and I didn't have any pending jobs at that time. So I thought, well, what harm would it be in creating a YouTube channel and just kind of seeing where it goes? And I never expected that it would become my job. I always just expected that it would be kind of just like a hobby where I would post videos to. And that's all it was for the first several months of me doing it. It was just something I did in my spare time and as a hobby for fun, because I enjoyed what I made. And slowly but surely, things started picking up. And
well, not really slowly.
Well, at first,
we'll go.
Okay, yeah, that's
one of the, like, you started around the same time as both of us, and you have double the subscribers.
Okay, that is a good point. It started off slowly, I should specify that, and then it exploded. And the moment it really exploded was in late August or early September in 2016. So it was about almost exactly a year ago from the recording of this episode. It was about exactly 1 year ago that it really took off. And it was my video I created over how the world map looks different than most people perceive it to be. And that still is my most popular video. And that's the one that blew up in late August. And it's the one that kind of started my full-time YouTube career.
It's funny how there's always one video that kind of starts it all.
Right. Your first video went viral, right, Brian?
Yeah, but it meant absolutely nothing at the time because I had no other videos on the channel, and that's one of the main things people kind of look to when they subscribe. They want to see if there's continual quality. I think I got like 500,000 on my first video, and I think I got probably 500 subs from it.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, it was pretty poor.
I think a lot of people assume that it's just like a channel re-uploading or something.
Yeah, it's weird.
So they don't subscribe.
Yeah, but like
that
it just shows the importance of having consistent quality as well, because people do check if there's like other videos there. I remember seeing, and I just found it again yesterday, of your video about Westeros, like that it's a combination of Great Britain and Ireland.
That was my first true video that got any amount of views.
Yeah, because I remember seeing that before I knew you.
Yes. So that video, yeah, it's an explanation where I talk a lot about the history in Game of Thrones and how it's influenced, or how the history of real life has influenced George R.R. Martin's writing in a Game of Thrones. And that video, I remember I wanted it to go viral so badly when I created it and when I posted it, because it was when the last season of Game of Thrones was going on. And so I remember having very high expectations for it. And I remember after posting it, I went to sleep for a few hours, and I woke up and I looked at it, and it was at like 50 views or something. And so I thought to myself, oh, this is just going to be another dud. Because every video I had posted prior to that had not even cleared 200 views on YouTube yet.
Really?
Yeah, not a single video. I remember when I posted that video, I had 200 subscribers, and none of my videos had over 200 views.
That's insane.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, this video, I don't know. I still don't know exactly what happened with it or how it took off the way it did. But I remember I was working at a valet job at this time. So I went to work, and I remember looking at it, and it was at 1,000 views. And then it was at 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. And I got really excited because I knew something was happening to it. Like, I knew it had gotten picked up by someone, or people were viewing it from somewhere. I still didn't know what was happening. Because
that's the funny thing with the YouTube analytics thing as well. It doesn't update for 2 days. So when you're really small and you get these huge bumps, you've absolutely no idea where it's coming from.
Yeah, you have no idea. Yeah, you have no idea where it's coming from. You have no idea what's happening. So I had no idea what was happening, but I was still really excited about this because it was the first video I posted that was getting any traction. So I was watching it at work, and I remember by the time I left my job, I went out with a couple friends for wings and beer. And I remember it was at 15,000 views at that point. And I still have probably never been as excited about a video and how well it's done than I was for that first video being at 15,000 views. I think I was just so happy and ecstatic. Just looking at that back at that time.
Yeah. Part of like, being a moderate sized YouTuber now is pretty great. Don't get me wrong, but part of what I miss about kind of having a small audience is the excitement of like at any second, some website will post it, and then your like views for the last hour go from like 100 to like 5,000, which is huge.
Yeah.
And that could happen at any second, and it's just like an excitement. Whereas now, if that happens, your views might go from like 6,000 views in the last hour to 8,000.
Right.
A lot less exciting.
Yeah, it is a lot less exciting now. I remember back then, I was so excited because I had found out that Vice had shared that Game of Thrones video. And that just made me, like, I can't even describe how I felt when I learned about that, because I was always a big follower of Vice for years, and I just thought that was so cool. But now that happens, like, it happens more frequently, definitely. Like, it's not as big of a shock or a surprise as it is that first time that a big news site shares your videos.
This is a very similar feeling to meeting all of the kind of role models.
Yeah.
It's like I remember when I'm never going to get this name right. Kurgazakt. Never going to get it right. When I saw him in my subscriber list, and I lost my mind. Like, just woke up and checked it and saw it, and lost it. And then some people may not know, when we were at Vidcon, what was that, like 2 months ago?
Yeah, a little less, or just about, I guess.
Yeah. Roughly.
Myself, Sam, JT, and Joseph all shared an Airbnb with Dave. People probably don't know Dave, but he's great. We all shared a house, and that moment we decided to have a barbecue. We got this really, really cool Airbnb, and it just had like a huge patio out back with a cooler and everything. It was like, why don't we invite all of the educational people over to our house and see what happens? And we weren't expecting a lot. And then that night, it was like Destin from Smarter Every Day. CPG Grey was there. Still don't think I got that one right.
You got it right that time.
Yes, okay. And Minute Physics, and like everyone was there. And I remember just like coming out of the bathroom at one stage and coming out and looking out from the kitchen onto the patio and being like, man, like if this happened even like 6 months ago, the endorphin levels would have been through the roof. Like, what is happening in my life? And it just seemed kind of normal at that time. And I remember just trying to rationalize it at the time. It's like, no, you need to look back and see where he came from and be like, Jesus, this is like dreams come true type thing.
Yeah, it really was. And it is interesting that you mention how if that experience had happened about 6 months ago, it would have been completely different.
Yeah.
'Cause we all would have been a lot smaller 6 months ago, and I wouldn't have been as prepared for it. But it still was a little surreal of an experience because these were all people's channels who I have been watching for years. Like, I have been watching CGP Gray's videos and Kurzgesagt's videos and Minute Physics videos for years, ever since I was like early on in college, which was years ago at this point. So like that experience of kind of meeting all of these people whose videos I've been watching for so long, um, I don't know, just like having that thought in the back of your head, like it was never at any point weird, I thought,
No,
but
because everyone in that space is so friendly as well.
right,
Like
and everybody
everyone
came. Like you said, everybody came from the same place too. Like everybody started at zero at some point,
Mhm.
and yeah, everybody was so friendly. Like it all felt extremely genuine and natural. Everyone in there was extremely friendly and welcoming.
I hope none of them listen because we have to act cool, guys.
Well, I remember towards the end of the party, and I think everyone just thought I was really drunk or something. As people were leaving, I was like, "Guys, this is like a dream come true. Thank you so much for coming." And I was just being sincere, but it just came across like, "Guys, I love you." But yeah, it was cool. And then we went to the Studio 71 party after that, and that was just weird. Like Logan Paul was standing next to us. What a
Yeah,
clothing.
that was very, very strange. I never expected in my life to ever be so close to Logan Paul, but there it was.
Is it the highlight of your life, Joseph?
Oh man,
It was just weird because like wherever you looked in your eyeline, there was some YouTuber that you recognized.
Yeah,
No matter which way you looked.
Yeah, I remember seeing Markiplier there. Man, I'm trying to remember who else was there.
Philip DeFranco was there.
Yeah,
I heard Philip was there, but I didn't.
He
I
walked
never
by
saw
me in
him.
line. He's very tall.
He had his bodyguards with him as well.
I remember seeing Matthew Santoro there as well.
Yeah, he's very short.
Yeah.
Well, we have a few hard feelings there when his bouncer brushed me aside when I tried to say hi. It's like, this guy. He was the only person actually in the entire thing that I felt was a little bit unfriendly. Like, he just kind of like, who's this guy trying to talk to me? But everyone else was super friendly.
Yeah.
Met
yeah.
Quebo Cop as well, the gamer from Amsterdam. He was like, I'm pretty sure he subscribed to all of us.
Yeah, he is.
He was really friendly as well, but he like when he walked by me, he had no idea who I was. And I was
naturally.
Like, yeah. But yeah, it was a cool experience.
Yeah, that definitely was a really cool experience. The whole time of being in Anaheim and just meeting so many people that do similar things to you, I think was really cool because part of this doing this is you don't really have coworkers or anything. Like, and other than JT, I don't know anyone else anywhere around me who does the same thing, like who does YouTube videos and who creates YouTube videos. So it's really great meeting people like you guys and other people in Anaheim that do a similar thing.
Yeah, and we're going to discount Vidcon together in 2 weeks, aka Playlist Live.
Yeah, just in a couple weeks.
Like, is it even a discount VidCon? Like, it seems to be just full of Instagram people who stick their tongue out for their profile picture and try to look super hot.
So JT and I went to the Playlist Live in Orlando because I was featured at that one as well. So I thought, why not go? With no expectations. And so we drove to Orlando from Dallas, where both of us live. It was about a 16-hour drive, and it was pretty much exactly how you described it, Brian. It was, it's. I think JT and I were the only education content creators at the entire convention. there was no one else there at all that was that made similar content.
Yeah. Well, like I don't mind that. Like education is probably one of the smallest niches on YouTube
Yeah,
in
for
terms of the
sure.
amount of people doing it. But like I think the one in Orlando is even like there's a lot. I know YouTubers from Ireland that go to it. But this one, I think I saw Wheezy Waiter, and that was the only face I recognized for the DC one. And what's his name? Michael Buckley? Is that his name?
Yep.
Yeah, I saw those two. They're the only two I recognized. The rest, like literally just Instagram stars from what I can tell, because I have no idea who any of them are.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're definitely
the
not
DC
the
one
kind
is a
of
lot smaller.
target creator there.
No.
Yeah, no.
It'll be fun though. We'll probably do what no other person there will do, and go to the Air and Space Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I want to go to DC, to be honest, I've been wanting to go there. I put it as one of the Easter eggs in the GPS video, because at one point I put the GPS coordinates of the video on screen. I think one person actually figured out where it was pointing to, but it was the Smithsonian. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be cool.
Yeah, it's a really good museum. It's one of my it's definitely one of my favorites I've ever been to.
You've both been there before then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Well, you're from DC, yeah.
Well, yeah. I grew up in that museum. We'll also do some business things. It'll be my first time on panels, and we'll meet people.
So you're actually on panels this time around?
Yeah, we're on panels.
Okay.
We're actually on a panel together. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
It's my first time being on any panel as well, so that'll be an interesting experience.
How did that come How did that come about? Was that like Studio 71 or what?
Yeah, it was Studio 71 for me. I guess they somehow, I'm not sure how they did it, but they got me listed as a featured creator there. And I'm on one panel on a Saturday.
Yeah, I'm on two. I'm assuming that they kind of just looked at our sub counts and were like, sure.
Yeah.
Because we certainly are not. Well, they actually do have an educational creator panel, surprisingly, given that it's mostly about kind of social media stars and Instagram people.
Yeah,
and,
I feel we get snubbed a lot because we don't show our face on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like we don't have that kind of fandom that other people have, that like if you walk into a room, people lose their fucking mind. Like that's just never going to happen with us.
Right. Yeah. There's never instant recognizability.
No.
Well, I'm sure there'll be about like 25 people in the room for the education panel.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll be front row. Like,
yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
One person.
That'll make me a little less nervous.
Showmakers is made possible by Video Blocks. Both Brian and I have used Video Blocks since day one on our channels. With their 1 yearly subscription, you get access to an enormous library of stock video clips, all properly licensed to use on your YouTube channel. If you're starting a channel, there's really no reason not to buy a Video Block subscription. It gives you such an enormous boost in production quality for such a small price, so it's worth it even for the smallest channels. I've personally downloaded just over 1,000 clips from Video Blocks. That would cost close to $50,000 with a traditional stock footage provider. But you can try Video Blocks for free for 7 days. That's 7 days of higher production quality for your videos. Only by going to videoblocks.com/showmakers, and then it's $149 for the year. Once again, that's VideoBlocks, videoblocks.com/showmakers for an exclusive 7-day free trial.
We said this from the start, to whoever's listening, because we know each other before, we knew it was going to be a super casual conversation. But
yeah, you guys so far, you asked me one question and we've been speaking for probably 20 minutes by now.
Oh no, that's pretty unproductive.
I don't know, but we've talked about relevant things, so
yeah,
it's okay.
Let's talk about Alaska. Joseph and I went to Alaska. What did you think of Alaska?
What do I think of Alaska?
What did you think of specifically shooting on location and that change up in format?
Okay. I really enjoyed doing that, actually. I definitely plan on doing a lot more videos in that kind of way. Actually going to location and shooting. I think because that's originally, like I kind of mentioned earlier, when JT from Second Thought and I created a channel a long time ago before either of our main channels today. That's what we did. We shot stuff on location. I remember the most popular video we did that had about 2,000 views. There was a protest at a mosque in Dallas, like back when that kind of craziness was going on. I don't even remember what it was about, but we went there and just filmed it. And like we were just basically trying to be journalists when we were there. So I have some experience kind of doing that before. And in Alaska, it was an interesting experience because the place we were at was Barrow in it's the northernmost city in Alaska, and it's really remote, of course. So the satellite connection up there is pretty limited. So getting the drone that we were flying functioning was a little challenging. Sam had a great experience with that.
Yeah, we had a little incident with the drone. Luckily, no casualties aside from maybe the drone. I don't know. Have you tried powering it on yet?
Yeah, it works. Like, it's fine.
Hey, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, it's completely fine. Those things are pretty durable. But
what did you do?
It just I was flying it, and it was windy-ish, but you know, we were fully like complied with all the laws. We were within 5 miles of an airport, so we called the control tower, called the airport manager. We were complying with all laws. It wasn't enough wind where it would have been irresponsible to fly, but the problem was the satellite connection. So the GPS was really shoddy. So it would kind of, because, you know, you're so far north and they don't have satellites that are kind of concentrated on that area.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, I don't think you can even get like, with some satellite phone networks, you can't even get satellite phone service that far north. So it just lost control and it kind of glided sideways over a road low enough that if a car had been there, it would have hit the car. But luckily there was no car, and kind of just landed gracefully in a snowbank. But it was fine. It's all good. And that was our last shot. We completed all our shots that we needed. Got some amazing drone footage, you know, that we use in both our videos. I, of course, stole Joseph's drone footage. But the drone's fine. It was all good. No problem.
Yeah, it was all good. What I was a little more worried about was we were filming on a beach that was right on the Arctic Ocean. And so it's full of ice. And at one point, the drone lost control over the ocean and started kind of like going haywire and flying or just kind of gliding in the wind on its own out over the ocean. And I was getting really nervous that if it crashed out there, the whole drone would have been gone. But what would have been even worse, I think, than the drone going away is the footage that was on it would have been completely lost.
What we figured out is that, because even though this was, I think we were there on like May 31st or something, around May 31st, the sea ice was still frozen.
Yeah.
And the locals would go out and snowmobile on the sea ice to get around sometimes, even though it was kind of melting and stuff. I don't know. So I think we figured by the end that we could just, you know, hand a local a 20 to go grab it.
Yeah, we probably could have done that. There were some patches, though, that of the sea ice that were gone. Like that.
Yeah, that was the thing. That was why it was so surprising people were snowmobiling on it, because it was like partially melted, and they would snowmobile like over the water.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I'm sure they know what they're doing, though.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
but
definitely,
it was quite the place. It was interesting. It wasn't like fun. It was in no way like fun being there, but it was super interesting.
Yeah,
because it was very cold. It was very windy, snowy, not much to do. I mean, like on our last day, we had to check out of our hotel at like 11 a.m. and our flight wasn't until 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. I don't remember. And so we kind of just paced around for 7 hours.
In the freezing cold.
In the cold, in the wind. because there was like nowhere to go. There aren't like, there's no, like tourist attractions or anything.
There's like 3 restaurants in town, and there's one culture museum
which was closed.
Yeah, which was closed when we went there.
I think we walked like all the way to, because it's actually a surprisingly large town, surprisingly spread out. Like it takes a good 30, 45 minutes to walk from one side to the other. So I think we walked like to the far end of town on the beach, walked back a bit, walked back to the far end, walked to a restaurant, walked to another restaurant, walked back to the far end of the beach, walked back to the hotel, and then arrived at the airport like astronomically early.
Yeah. We also went to every pizza shop in town, which was all
we visited almost every restaurant. Yeah.
And then we visited almost every restaurant in the city because there were about 3 or 4 total restaurants.
And how much was our Chinese food? I think it was like $25 a plate.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's about right.
That was like the most fascinating. That was one of the most fascinating aspects, I think, just the price of goods there.
Yeah.
That just reminded me that I actually met you for the first time at a Chinese restaurant in Amsterdam at the European Vidcon.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
That was, it's Chinese food unites us all.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that now.
That place was even more expensive than the place in Barrow, and they don't have a good excuse.
Yeah, that was a really touristy place because we walked like a block away from the convention center.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, but Barrow was definitely a great experience.
Oh yeah, and it was, and a JT from Second Thought was there with us too. It was
it was
Sam,
good to
JT,
have him.
and me.
Yeah,
and
because he actually knows what he's doing.
Be able to do stuff like that more often, because I think we're all a bit restricted on making more ambitious videos where we use our own footage and everything, because we're all pretty much one-man teams for the most part.
Yeah.
Like we don't have a big production team behind us to do stuff like Vox does, where they go and actually, or Vice even, to do stuff on site. And I'd love to do that. I always feel way more proud of the video when like there's some of my original footage in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also, it's not all for footage. It's also about research. Like I learned things in Barrow that I would not have thought to research about just because I was there.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Extra little effort that you put in to get it done.
Yeah.
Like I particularly like the KPS, the Kite Powered Systems video for me, just because like I was able to, because that's the only one that I've done that where I went on site. That was cool. Actually, the carbon fiber one I did as well, I guess. I went to a factory and recorded.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, I think we're all thinking of doing it more because it's also fun, to get out there and do stuff and not just do everything on our desk.
I have a little bit of a spoiler for an upcoming video that I'm planning on doing on location again. I've told Sam a little bit about it. I can't believe I can't remember the name of this town right now, but it's a town that's at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
What?
In Arizona. And it's the only registered town in the United States that, for one thing, it still has its mail delivered by mule, because that's just the most convenient way to get down to the canyon, because there's no roads that go down there. And because there's no roads, the only way you can get in or out is by walking or by helicopter, but that's kind of cheating.
How do they get their like supplies?
It's all for the most part. I don't think helicopters come very often.
It's all mules.
Because that's expensive. Yeah, I think almost all of it comes down with pack mules that just come down with postmen down the canyon. It's about a 6 mile walk.
Do they get Amazon Prime?
Man, that's a really good question. I don't know. Something I'll have to research.
Yeah.
Was that an answer to the Amazon Prime, or why does it exist?
I guess honestly to both. I mean, the whole point of the video would be like, why does this town exist? Because I've always been genuinely curious why it does, and I don't really know the answer to it. And I think that's something that Google can't really tell you, because like it just kind of mentions the town, say like on Wikipedia, but it doesn't kind of go into the history of when that town started and why.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something like you really almost have to go there and ask people. about to figure out an answer. So that's what I'm planning on doing at some point.
It'd be cool to do a video about the Aran Islands in Ireland, actually. Kind of similarly bizarre place to decide to live. Like the only way you can get out there is by boat. Well, they used to have planes. They still have planes, actually. But it's like the entire island is basically karst region. So limestone everywhere. Like there's basically no land to grow anything on.
Yeah.
But there's this on the main island on Inishmore, which just means big island. There's this fort on the edge of a cliff. You may have seen it. Like I think it's pretty famous. It's Dún Aengus, but it's literally the walls of the fort go onto the edge of the cliff, and it's a huge cliff. I'd love to do a video about that. I think my brother actually just did a video about that. Yeah,
why don't you plug your brother's channel more?
Because what's the word for that?
Nepotism.
Nepotism. Yeah.
I don't know if it really counts for this.
Well, I said to him if he keeps doing it, like, cause he's probably going to listen to this, so I feel bad. But I said to him, that like if he continues, like at the moment he needs to improve. Like the videos aren't quite at the stage where I feel like I should be like promoting it. Like especially I'd tweet it out, but I wouldn't put it up on my YouTube channel or something. It's like just keep working at it.
Sure, it's motivation.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So Joseph, how do you come up with your video ideas? Because I think most people who have seen your channel or the working, we were I think it was at Vidcon when we were working for we were working towards a byline, like a tagline to your channel.
Yeah.
And the working one, the first one that we came up with was speculative bullshit.
Yeah.
Which we've sent. I think what is it now?
It's now extreme speculation.
Yeah, the more clean version.
Yeah,
but I like the speculative bullshit.
But I mean, the best way for me to describe the video topics are questions that everyone may have, but nobody dares to try answer.
Either that no one tries to answer or questions that no one has really thought about before. I try to think. I ask myself questions a lot, and I try to ask myself questions that I think no one else has asked before. And oftentimes I'm wrong about that. Oftentimes I ask questions and the questions have been answered before. But in that case, I want to answer it in my own way, or I want to answer doing my own calculations or doing my own research. But a lot of times it's questions that I've never seen any videos about. And those are the ones that I get really, really excited for, is, like trying to think to yourself, like, man, are you the first person to ever actually be curious about something? Like, I'm trying to think of an example where I thought that, like, I guess one of the ones was, what if everyone in the world lived in a city, like in the same city together? That was one of my favorite ones to research, just because I love population demographics and stuff like that. And just trying to calculate like how big this city would be if all 7+ billion humans lived in it, was like a really good mind exercise. And it was just really fun, like looking into it.
I've definitely seen an uptick in just absurd hypothetical questions in educational YouTube videos. And I blame that all on you.
Yeah, I have wondered that if I've actually started a trend in kind of absurd hypothetical questions, because that seems to be my most popular video format.
I'm sure it has to do in part with, some of your videos getting like 6-8 million views.
Some of them, have like 4, 5, 6, or some even have 7 or 8 million views.
Yeah. Who would not try to copy that?
Your titles are just too enticing. like if you look at that title, there's no way you don't want to click on it and figure out what the answer is.
Yeah,
because it's not clickbait in the way that, like, a prank video will have, someone died or something in the title.
Right.
It's clickbaity in the way that's like, how can someone even begin to answer this? Like,
yeah.
How do you even try to answer this? That's the.
Yeah, it's catchy, The titles I come up with are definitely catchy, and I generally try to ask questions in my titles because I find with myself at least that when I look at a video title and if it's a question, I ask myself like, well, I need to know the answer, or I think to myself, I want to know the answer to that. And there's three ways you can go about doing that. You can ignore your curiosity and not click on the video. You could go and research it yourself, or you could do the reasonable thing, which is just click on the video and hopefully like listen through it and get an answer, or at least a better understanding of the question. And maybe you can come up with an answer yourself. Because a lot of times in my videos, I come up with an answer, but I also want to get people thinking about it themselves, which is why I always try to encourage comments and discussion, because a lot of the questions, my answer isn't necessarily like the correct one. There could be different answers that I think would be equally valid. And that sounds kind of like something that doesn't make sense, because a lot of times there's only one answer and that's the only answer there is. But in some of these hypothetical scenarios, like where I'm coming up with countries that like old empires like the Roman Empire, and bring it back into existence in modern day with all the borders, and I basically do that by calculating like GDP information and just kind of adding it in population and demographics and just kind of adding it all together. That stuff is all one answer that is like there is only one answer kind of there, but the answer that a lot of people can come up with is like, what is this government's foreign policy? Like what are its goals? Like what is it? How will other countries kind of react to it? And that there are multiple different answers to that question. So like to that, I leave it kind of up to the comments instead of me kind of discussing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you get accused of clickbaiting a lot in your comments?
I do, but like I get accused of that. I don't think that's accurate though, because
No.
I do and I don't. Like, let me see how I can explain
I like
this.
a different way of saying it. I think people call it clickbaiting, but I've always kind of rationalized it as click-worthy, which is kind of, I don't know, a bit self-serving, but I do feel it's part of the job. Like you could spend 3 weeks making a video and then give it the worst title and worst thumbnail and no one is going to watch it. Like that is 3 weeks wasted unless you give it a title that people will actually like click on.
Yeah, you have to come up with something that people click on, otherwise nobody will ever watch it. I mean, it's just kind of human nature that people judge something by its cover. I think like people will look at the title or the thumbnail, and if they don't like it, they're probably not going to click on it. I mean, I do that. I know I'm guilty. I know I'm guilty of that, and I know if I'm guilty of that, I know plenty of other people probably will be as well. So yeah, like you just got to come up with something that's enticing, and you can have an interesting subject like Sam and I, for example, going to Barrow. I think, Sam, what's your title of your video?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as an example. Why the northernmost town in America exists.
Yeah.
We basically traveled, I traveled probably like 3,500 miles, spent a couple $1,000 to go to this town basically because it made a good video title.
Yeah.
The northernmost town in the U.S. It's that important. And, I could have called my side of that video like all about Barrow, Alaska or something, and it would have gotten 200,000 views probably or something.
Yeah, it could have had a title like Our Adventure in Barrow, or just like
I wouldn't have clicked on that, but
No.
Why the northernmost town in America? I think that was a good. In America exists. I think that was a good title.
It is,
and it was also accurate because I answered that question, and now that video has well more than 1 million views. I think
it does. Yeah, last I saw it had over 1 million views, and yeah, it's because of your title on it. If it was some bland title, you would have spent thousands of dollars and spent like days worth of work for nothing. And I mean, it was the same thing for me because I posted a video about it as well, and I spent the same amount of money and spent the same amount of time. But it all would have been for nothing if it didn't have a catchy title and a catchy thumbnail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that this is one of your channel name is probably my favorite out of any channel on YouTube, to be honest, because I think it just covers pretty much anything that you want to cover under RealLifeLore.
Yeah.
But then it allows you these, I mean, I can't really, like, I try to with the titles and everything, trying to get people to click on it, but I just can't do it in the same way without being a bit misleading. So it's, you get to ask these like crazy questions. It's fucking cool.
Yeah, I thought very carefully before I created my channel what name I was going to give it. And I gave a lot of thought to that. And eventually I settled on RealLifeLore for exactly the reason you said, that it's open-ended to where I can kind of create videos on kind of whatever I want to create. Like I'm not limited to one genre of videos. I can create something like going to Barrow, and I can do more stuff like that in the future. And that was a bit of very careful planning, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the opposite end of that spectrum where, like, I picked Real Engineering, like, I picked it so long ago as well. Like, it started way before the actual YouTube channel, because I created the Facebook thing way before that. And it was purely because I was annoyed with all of these Facebook pages, like Interesting Engineering, Wonderful Engineering. None of them did engineering. It was just like random pictures of like bridges and shit. Like, none of them actually explained anything. I was like,
yeah,
screw this. I'm making my own thing and going to actually explain the engineering behind this stuff. But now that I've grown to the point that it's an actual, like, legitimate thing, I find it really restrictive that I can't really stray too far outside of engineering now. Like, I can do history if I, like with the Blitzkrieg video, which is full of inaccuracies and I need to be careful with history. But I can kind of stray into that a little bit as long as I relate it to the technology. But man, like, I'd love to be able to drop the engineering out of the name and just do real or something.
Just real.
What I like about your channel's name, Brian, is that it's kind of like how Minute Physics was able to use that name and adapt it to Minute Earth. If you wanted, you could do like a real physics. You could do a real history, real science, or whatever.
Yeah. The thing with that is, like, that is an option, obviously, but starting a second channel requires so much more work and like investment than just posting a random video on your channel every now and again, slightly out of the norm for your normal content.
Sure.
Because you like Minute Physics with Minute Earth, he has 3 or 4 people working on that channel separately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it's just like, I was half thinking recently if I just dropped the engineering, but real sounds awful as a channel name.
No, that's
and
not
just
having
but just having the subject matter click into place, like in the intro. So it'd be like real, like history, and it would kind of scroll through and land on history or engineering or like medicine or something. But yeah,
you could name it just real stuff.
It's better than real. But yeah, it's just one of those frustrations I've been having lately of like, I'd like to be able to, because I came across the story of the 1916 Rising there recently. I was talking about it on Twitter. Of like the bombing. I had no idea that Dublin got so badly damaged from shells. And I really wanted to learn more about that myself and make a video about it, which is generally how I make a video. I find something I want to learn about, and just now it's my job to learn about things. But like, I can't really invest time into stuff like that now because it's not within the kind of subject matter I'm allowed to cover, which I just find that annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Showmakers is made possible by Eero. If you've ever set up a Wi-Fi network, you know it's normally a mess. It's a seemingly endless process which usually finishes with dead spots and Wi-Fi much lower than your internet speed. But there's a solution. Eero makes it almost effortless to set up a well-functioning Wi-Fi network. It takes less than 10 minutes to set up the main Aero device. Then, depending on the size of your home, you can add additional Aero beacons that just plug into an outlet to extend your network. Once your network is set up, Aero intelligently adapts to the shape and environment of your home to optimize your network so it works great everywhere. You can get great Wi-Fi tomorrow with free overnight shipping by heading over to Eero.com and using the promo code Showmakers at checkout. That's EERO.com and the promo code Showmakers for free overnight shipping on your Aero Wi-Fi system. Well, before we run out of time, Joseph kind of at least blindsided me last week by uploading a video about his new book. And I know, Joseph, I heard you like casually talking about that every once in a while.
Yeah.
Never actually like had a conversation about it. But like, plenty of people say, oh, I'm writing a book. Uh-huh. But then you actually went and released it, and it's on Amazon and everything now. Or it's not released, but it's available for pre-order. Yeah. So tell us about that. What's going on there?
So that is something that I've been working on for about a year, since my channel started taking off last year in August. I've been kind of compiling this and writing it ever since. And yeah, like you said, like I've been mentioning it and I've talked about it before. And yeah, plenty of people do say that they're writing a book. Basically, it's a book of stuff that I would make videos on, but for one reason or another have decided not to. A lot of the topics I thought would either A, be too controversial, or B, just way too detailed for me just to make like a quick little like a 6, 7, or 8 minute video about. So I wanted a lot more time to explore a lot of these topics in detail. One of the ones, I'll just give this as an example. One of the videos that I wanted to make a video about this. I wrote a whole script about it, and I was going to make a video about it, and then I decided not to. I chickened out because I thought it was going to be too controversial. And it is the video title is going to be, what if the president dies? Or what if the US president dies? Like, what happens next?
Like the line of succession?
Yeah, it was a video all about the line of succession. And it was just a video explaining it. And then, like, going into some speculation, what happens if everyone in the line of succession dies? Like, then what happens? Like...
That's funny, because I had actually... What video was I researching that exact question
It's
for?
your doomsday video.
Oh yeah, that was the exact video where I was trying to find out what happens if everyone dies. So I'll make sure to read the book. I don't think I ever found a direct answer.
There really isn't. The quick answer is there would be a constitutional crisis, and no one really knows what would happen. So it's just wild speculation.
Yeah,
there is no answer of what would happen.
What's interesting is that there's actually a line of succession for a lot of the positions in the line of succession. I don't know if you came across that, but like for the Secretary of Energy or something, there's like a line of succession. I know that's the example that I know for sure. There's like a line of succession, and one of them, it goes all the way down to like the deputy manager of like some power plant in Virginia or something.
Really?
Yeah.
So man.
But because I found this out when I was researching this question, but the people in that line of succession don't like go into the presidential line of succession, even if the person, the Secretary of Energy who is in the line of succession dies or, gets bumped up to president or something. The person who ascends to the position of Secretary of Energy cannot become president. So that's not the answer. But I just found that interesting how there are other lines of succession.
Yeah, that is so interesting that it goes like that. It's a really interesting subject and like an interesting topic because like not a lot of people know. I mean, a lot of people know if the president dies, the vice president takes over, but not a lot of people know, well, what happens if that person dies? And then what happens if the Speaker of the House goes? Like, then who do you turn to? Like,
yep. And that's why people need to watch Designated Survivor, the TV show. It's excellent.
I've seen trailers for that, but
it's a little, you have to get over a little bit of cheesiness and a little too many cliches.
I couldn't get over it.
Oh, you couldn't? It is. There are a lot of really cliche moments, and it's a bit cheesy.
It's really American, like really, 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 really
it is
American.
a very American TV show, but I liked it a lot. If you get over that, you have to be able to get over that.
I'll have to give it a shot.
The whole premise is like the Capitol blows up during the State of the Union, and the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, I think, the 24 guy, Keith Sutherland, becomes president. It's pretty good. Anyway, we've now done like a double sidetrack. Tell us more about the book.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, there's a lot of other subjects in it. The book is coming out in October. It's releasing on October 24th. It is on Amazon.
This is an actual published book. This isn't just something you are releasing on Amazon.
Yes,
this is a printed book.
Yes, this is an actual print book. It's not just a Kindle. You can actually get a physical printed copy of this book. It's being published by a company called Mango. Mango Publishing is the publishing company that I'm working
you
with.
Pursue that yourself?
No. So I actually didn't have any intention on writing a book. I did have all this leftover notes because I write a lot. And a lot of stuff that I've done research on and written about for, like I said, for the presidential line of succession, I decided not to make a video about. So I just have all these manuscripts and all these notes for stuff that never made it into videos. And it just so happened that publishing company sent me an email inquiring if I was interested in writing a book and having it published through them. I had no intention of ever writing a book. And I guess all those notes and all that research and time would have mostly just kind of been for waste because I never would have made videos about them. And I just kind of thought whenever I got their email, I have all these notes, I have all this time and research. I mean, yeah, why not kind of adapt it into a book format instead? So I told them sure. And ever since then, I've been adapting these kind of failed projects and these notes into a readable book format.
They emailed me too. I emailed back, and then I never heard from them again. So I'm a little bit salty, but we'll pass that to the side.
Classic Sam. But I would love to make a book too, but I just don't know how you upload once a week, pretty much.
Yeah.
How the hell did you find the time to write a book in between all that?
So I was gonna say, I feel like I don't have a life.
Do any of us?
I feel like I have not had almost any free time for almost a year. Because I spend so much time reading and writing and researching, and animating. Like so much time is spent doing so much work for the channel and for this book also. And for a long time, I thought this book was just a waste of time because, like, it's hard to see the end goal when you're just kind of writing and writing and writing and it's not going anywhere at first. Now that it's actually on Amazon and it's published, it all seems kind of worthwhile. But when it's before that, it kind of seems pointless in a lot of ways. And I thought that on numerous occasions, like, I should just focus on my YouTube videos. I should just focus on my script writing. Like, I shouldn't be spending time writing this book.
I feel that way halfway through making a video. It's like, what's the point? Why am I doing this? I could never do something for a year and keep that focus.
It's very difficult because, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's been a project I've been working on for almost an entire year now. This book. And like not announcing it and like not telling people about it and like not talking about it was just kind of killing me because it was just all this work that just seemed just futile and pointless for so long. But it's kind of worth it. And I mean, like this is something I haven't told anybody before, but I've always kind of wanted to be an author. And what I've always wanted to write is a fiction story, actually, that I've been building and creating ever since I was in high school. It's like it's a fictional universe that takes place kind of like in a fantasy world, and I've been building this in my head and like writing stuff about it for years. And I have not written a single word of the book yet, but that's like I plan to at some point. So this first book is kind of maybe like practice for that, I think.
Dipping the toes in the water.
Yeah, just kind of like dipping my toe. Yeah, exactly. Like just kind of getting into publishing and getting into writing. But yeah, I expect more books, but the next books I'll write will probably be fiction instead of nonfiction. It'll be an actual story instead of like trivia.
You should write, film scripts instead. You have to combine the dying medium with the growing medium.
That's a good idea. Actually, I would love to be a script writer for some show or for a movie. I think that'd be really cool, actually.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Right now, you just need to make more videos.
Just make more videos. Yeah, the book is done, so I'm done writing that for now. So yeah,
2 videos a week now. Yeah.
Oh, never. Oh, I remember when JT started doing 2 videos a week, and I never understood how he did that, because one a week almost kills me with how much time I put into it.
Like 2 videos a month kills me. Like the video I'm doing this next Monday, I was actually like half researched and had a lot of the animations and stuff done already.
Yeah.
And I've still had to do 4 or 5 days where I go in at like 10 a.m. and work until 9, which is like a long enough day it's a long day in general.
Yeah, it's a very long day.
Like, 2 a month.
Well, I just did a stretch of 3 videos in 3 weeks, just due to some scheduling thing. And that absolutely was awful. That was, I'm never doing, well, I probably will do that again, actually. But, it was, with that, you have no, like, I went from like publishing one video to literally like 30 minutes after publishing it, starting to write the next script.
Oh yeah, I definitely do that. Like on Fridays, whenever I post a video, this is my crazy schedule. This is why I actually bailed on you guys last week, because I stayed up all night on Thursday, because I upload Friday mornings. I'm always up all night Thursday. I don't sleep at all. I'll be up all day. I'll be up for over 24 hours easily. And I'm fueled only by coffee and espresso.
You're a lunatic. You're a lunatic.
It is.
I don't know how you do it.
It is a little bit of lunacy, and
I'm sure that does wonders for your health.
Yeah, I actually, this is why I've actually been wanting to start transitioning to doing videos every 2 weeks. I had a physical, and my doctor told me that he thinks that I take too much caffeine. I'm a little jittery sometimes, and I get headaches. Because
Joseph, please start taking care of yourself.
Because I drink coffee and stare at a computer screen forever. Basically,
that'll do it.
But yeah, I'm up for 24-hour periods very often working, and I never go to sleep on Thursdays. And so I'll click upload, and I'll be responding to comments and stuff. And then I'll maybe go and take a nap, and I'll sleep for a few hours, and then I'll get up, and it's right to work on my next video. It's straight to work on research.
What's your motivation for doing that? Why do you work yourself to the bone doing that?
That's a good question also. I think it started with, I was just really ecstatic to see how many people were watching my videos, and more than that, like how many people actually cared about watching these videos. Like I always loved reading people's comments, and I always loved reading people's responses. And I guess maybe that kind of got to me a little bit. And I've been doing this for months now. Like I've been in this cycle where I've been doing this for a very long time now. So it's kind of become something that I'm used to. Like I'm used to the schedule. I'm used to kind of being a maniac and doing this on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I think that's where motivation stops being motivation and it becomes discipline.
Yeah.
Like you're just used to doing it, and you've disciplined yourself to that point where it's just like it's just normal. It doesn't feel out of place.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not normal.
I know it's definitely not normal. And when I talk to people, I remember this isn't normal, and this isn't a normal thing people do. But it seems normal from my perspective, because it is what I've been doing for months now. And I don't know, it just kind of seems natural to me, or normal, but I know it's not. So I do plan on changing it. I do plan soonish at some point I'm going to start transitioning to doing something every other week. I think one of the last things I want to touch on is, I think another reason why I do the weekly stuff is because I had a fear early on that if I wasn't posting regularly, and if I wasn't posting to a schedule, that people would abandon my channel, or people wouldn't watch my videos as much. And that there was like a little bit of a fear element that encouraged me to post more regularly and to post on Fridays. And I think that drive has kind of continued on. But I understand that if I start switching to videos every other week, it's not going to kill me. And I don't think people will stop watching my videos just because I'm posting less often.
Yeah.
So I think that's about time. We're at about an hour. So thank you a lot for being on the show, Joseph. And I'll probably see you in 11 days in DC?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And yeah, just in 11 days. Yeah. We'll have to talk about this a little more in DC.
Yeah. Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on again. Appreciate it.
Done.